Hello children, welcome back to English class. So, we are starting with a supplementary reader. The very first lesson, The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. So, talking about Mulk Raj Anand, he was born on 12th December 1905 at Peshawar in Pakistan and died on 20th September 2004 at Jahangir Hospital in Pune. He was an Indian writer in English, notable for his depiction of the lives of the poor caste in traditional Indian society. He won Sahitya Akademi Award for English writer and Padma Bhushan also. Some of his notable works include Coolie, Untouchable, and so on. So, we shall start the lesson, The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. A child goes to a fair with his parents. He is happy and excited and wants the sweets and toys displayed there. But his parents don't buy them for him. Why then does he refuse when someone else offers them to him? Now we shall see the story in detail. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter. So it was the festival of spring, and people in colorful attire were going to the fair. A child, along with his parents, was going to the fair and was very excited and happy. Some were walking, some were riding on horses, others were sitting in a bamboo carried by the people, and some people were in bullock carts. And one little boy was running between his father's legs, full of life and laughter, with full of surprise and excitement. "Come, child, come," called his parents, as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes. So the little boy was very much fascinated and surprised with the sightseeing over there. There were many shops and toys that lined the way. And his parents were calling him, and he hurried towards his parents. Though his father got angry, but his mother pacified him and diverted his attention towards other things. The child was fascinated by the stalls of toys and sweets. And the child understood from the stare and refusal in the eyes of their parents when he stopped and was looking at the toys. "I want that toy," he pleaded. His father looked at him red-eyed in his familiar tyrant way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender, and giving him her finger to hold, said, "Look, child, what is before you?" It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. A group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it. But it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. Then his mother gave a cautionary call, "Come, child, come on to the footpath." He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. "Come, child, come," they called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. So, as I said before, the child was very much fascinated by the stalls of toys and sweets. Though his father got angry, but his mother pacified him and diverted his attention towards other things. The child moved forward, but once again lagged behind because his eyes were caught by one thing or the other every now and then. So there were many attractive things over there, and the child needs them, but his father was very much hesitant to buy those things. So his mother just consoled him and was diverting his attention to many other things, like the flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold. Then group of dragonflies were bustling. Then, and many nature beauties are there. So the mother is diverting his attention to the beauty of nature. A group of dragonflies were bustling, means moving in a hurry about on their gaudy purple wings. Gaudy means attractive in colors, with purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. So these butterflies, black bees, dragonflies, these insects were flying over there, and this dragonfly prevents the butterfly and the black bee going in search of flowers. And the child also followed them in the air with his stare. Gaze means stare, till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it. So we have all were very much curious when we see the dragonflies and all flying, isn't it? So, like this, the little boy was also trying to catch the dragonfly when it is about to rest. But it go fluttering, flapping up into the air when he had almost caught it in his hands. After that, his mother started calling, "Come, child, come on to the footpath." He ran towards his parents pleasantly, gaily means pleasantly, and walked abreast of them for a while. Abreast means side by side. Attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming. Teeming out means come out fully from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So from this we can understand that almost all the insects, worms, everything came out in order to enjoy the sunshine. And this child, along with his parents, they were enjoying the beauty of the nature. "Come, child, come," his parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. So while this boy was playing along with these insects, his parents were taking rest in the shade of a grove. Grove means an orchard. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. So after enjoying himself in the company of the insects, he just gone to the grove where his parents were resting. And from there, he gathered the raining petals in his hands. Raining petals means the petals which had water in it. And he could heard the cooing of doves. And he shouted and said to his parents, "The dove, the dove." Again, the parents called him, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. So the boy was jumping and dancing round the banyan tree. And in that manner, they were leading themselves to the fair through the mustard fields. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. A sweet meat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, burfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many-coloured sweets, decorated with the leaves of silver and gold. The child stared open-eyed, and his mouth watered for the burfi that was his favourite sweet. "I want that burfi," he slowly murmured, but he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped, and half murmured, "I want that garland." But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of the silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. The child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded further. There was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children, carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with a dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently, and then he made a bold request. I want to go on. The roundabout, please, father, mother. So, as they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs, means full of mob, full of people, converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. So, as they moved forward, the child got demurred, means doubted, by the decorative items on the stalls. His mouth watered, seeing sweet decorated with gold and silver leaves. He could see gulab jamun, rasagula, burfi, jalebi, and all things there. All were beautifully Then the child stared open-eyed, and his mouth watered for the burfi that was his favorite sweet. And he slowly murmured, he needs that. So, he was very much fond of burfi, even though he pleaded for that. His parents refused to give him. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. Then he could see a flower seller He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without answering for an answer, he moved again. Then he went towards another hawker who was engaged in selling balloons of different colors. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors, and he was filled with a great desire to had, but he knew his parents will not ready to buy. So he walked further. Then he saw a snake charmer playing a flute, coiled itself, the snake in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. And the child went towards the snake charmer, knowing his parents had not allowed him to hear such rough music. So he proceeded from there also. At last, he saw a roundabout in full swing, and people of all ages were moving in that swing, shrieked and cried in a great manner. The child watched them carefully, and then he made a bold request. I want to go on the roundabout, please, father, mother. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there ahead of him. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, Mother, Father. Tears rolled down from his eyes. hot and fierce. His flushed face was convulsed with fear. Panic-stricken, he ran to one side first, then to the other, hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go. Mother, father, he wailed. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. So after some time, he couldn't see his mother and father. He was searching for them. There was no sign of them. So his throat began to dry, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear, Mother, father. Tears were rolling down from his eyes. He was very much hot and panic. Overtaken with fear and angry, he ran to one side first, then to the other. Hither and thither means this way and that way, in all directions, knowing not what to do, where to go and what to do. He was calling, Father, Mother, and his yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distance on the green grass he could see, through his filmy eyes, men and women talking. He cried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. So he could see many people over there, and he tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, whether he can see his parents or not, but there was no sign of them. He ran quickly again, this time to a crowd way. Shrine means crowd way, to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by the brutal movements. He might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, Father, Mother. A man in the surging crowd heard his cry and, stooping with great difficulty, lifted him up in his arms. So he was in search of his parents through that crowded people. Neither his father nor his mother was there. Now the child realized that he was lost. He ran here and there, but with no fruitful result. The place was too overcrowded. He got terrified, but suddenly a kind-hearted man took him up in his arms and consoled the bitterly weeping child. How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he cheered clear of the moss. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, I want my mother. I want my father. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. Will you have a ride on the horse? He gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs and he only shouted, I want my father, I want my mother. So in order to make him calm, he taken the boy to the roundabout and asked, will you have a ride on the horse? But the child was asking his mother and father with a sharp crying.